Okay, if you were watching this video, it's because you have created your three-part thesis statement. So you are in page 7 in your packet, and you should already have done your research topic, your opinion statement. You should have 3 well-written body paragraphs, and you should have changed and combined those body paragraphs into one 3-part thesis statement that has your topic, your opinion, and the 3 main idea categories that you are going to be talking about. So if you have not done that yet, please stop here and go back. The other thing that you need to do when you reach this part is you need to check in with Mrs. Labarca to make sure that this is all okay. So please make sure that after you've done the first half of page 7, you check in with Mrs. Labarca. When you're finished, what we want to do is we want to be able to come down to this introduction paragraph. So what we know about introduction paragraphs is, when we go back to the funnel method, that we need some sort of hook that engages the reader, and we need some sort of bridge. So a group of sentences that is going to take you from the hook to the thesis. There's no one clear way to do it for the bridge, but there's something that is going to take you from point A to point C, and it's going to help your paper flow and make sense. So what I want us to start with is I want us to start here writing an introductory paragraph. So this is page 2. So take a minute and flip to page 2. I'm going to give you some strategies for a hook. The hook is one of the most hated sentences of any writing assignment because sometimes people they have no idea where to start. So I'm going to give you a couple suggestions that you can try. So one of the things that you can do is you can start with a fact that will be important later. So for example, if I'm writing a paper about voting in America, maybe I'm going to start with only 56.8% of the voting population goes to the polls, even for national elections. Okay, so some sort of fact that to me, I look at that and I'm like, whoa, really? That's not very much. So that's something that grabs my attention. Another thing I might do is I could start with a short anecdote, which is a tiny story. Now this will make your introduction a little bit longer, but if we look at this, it's very engaging. It says, in the cell phone video, a teenage boy stands at the front of the classroom as his football teammates laugh. The coach closes the door. We don't want no witnesses, he says, to more laughter. After hesitating, the boy complies with the coach's orders to close his eyes and clasp his hands behind his head. Then the coach punches him in the stomach. The boy doubles over and falls to the floor as his teammates laugh. So that's the hook, and I'm going to tell you that that's actually a real hook that I took from an article that I borrowed from an article that was on bullying, coaches bullying their athletes. So that was one of the best hooks I've ever read because I just wanted to know more and more. So this kind of functioned as the hook and the bridge, and then it got us to this thesis statement where they were proving that bullying from coaches to athletes is becoming a big problem. Okay. Another thing I could do is I could start with a surprising statement or an element of figurative or descriptive language. So I told you for your thesis statement, for a thesis, never figurative language. For a hook, maybe figurative language. So for example, if I'm writing an essay on Halley's Comet, maybe I'm going to say the whole world watched as Halley's Comet flew overhead. That's a hyperbole, and it's also imagery. Right? So I'm kind of engaging my audience right away. Number 4, start with a quote or use a famous person. We have to be really, really careful here. If we use a quote from someone famous, they have to be credible. So for example, I could use a quote from Michael Jordan if I'm writing about basketball. But I probably shouldn't use a quote from Michael Jordan if I'm writing about rocket science. Okay? It needs to be a person that is credible in that field, not just has an opinion. We have to be really careful with quotes in general. They can be very cliche sometimes. And the other thing is that you just can't drop a quote bomb, right? This doesn't say, if you notice my example for number 1, it doesn't just say truth is stronger than fiction and then have a hyphen and then say Albert Hubbard, okay? I have introduced my quote like we've been working on all this year. Albert Hubbard once said, truth is stronger than fiction, okay? Or I could name drop, if you notice in number 2, I've name dropped some popular authors. But again, it all has to make sense. To me, number 4 is a good strategy for you guys. You want to use it because it feels the easiest, but it's also the most dangerous because sometimes it just does not have a connection that we're looking for, okay? Number 5, I think sometimes is the easiest. To start right out with your topic. It's not your claim, so you don't want to like have a claim sandwich where you write your thesis and then a bridge sentence and then your thesis again, but something that's on your topic. So in the College of Veterinary Medicine and Engineering, for example, nearly 1/3 of the teaching faculty may retire by the year 2004. In the College of Education, more than 1/3 of the professors are 55 years old and older. So I'm going to be writing about how the teachers are getting old and no teachers are replacing them. What I want you to do too is I want you to think about what you might want to use. I'm going to go down here to my examples, and I want you to think about the strategies that I use. So I know we read together my information on insomnia in teenagers. If you look here, I used kind of, I don't know, maybe a surprising fact, I would call it. Even an informal poll of teenagers today would reveal a hidden truth. Teens cannot sleep. Okay, I thought that was pretty creative and interesting. I looked here when I was writing about service animals. I used a fact. You can see that I actually have it cited here. I paraphrased it. I didn't take it as a direct quote. But in America today, there are approximately 500,000 dogs who have been trained and certified to assist humans who live with their disabilities. So I have a fact here that I think is going to be important. And then here I have an interesting kind of eye-catching idea. So whatever you choose for your hook is okay. But then you really need to think about, you already have your thesis statement written. It should be down here. And then you need to think about, okay, what is it that you need to do to get from that hook to that thesis statement? In this one, I actually defined insomnia for my audience where people are having trouble falling asleep and staying asleep. So that's something that you could consider doing. I want you also to go ahead and look up at my example paragraph up here for service animals, just getting some ideas. When you're finished, right, you should have this all written here. You're going to check with me, and then I'm going to have you actually go into the template for your essay and get that introduction typed. Okay.